Next, we're going to transition into the risk that board members and really any members need to be aware of if they are part of the 501c3 nonprofit end overdose. We'll be covering private inurements, conflicts of interest, unrelated business income tax, lobbying, political activities, as well as gaming and charitable deductions. If the nonprofit is found violating laws pertaining to anything that is listed on this screen, the organization may face penalties up to the revocation of their tax exemption status. First, private inurements are defined as allowing the net earnings or assets to unduly benefit organizational insiders, such as board members, officers, key employees, or others with substantial influence in the organization. Now, it is okay that members receive some benefits for their services. However, it cannot exceed what is reasonable for what was performed. For end overdose, these resources must go towards their mission statement as well as their vision. For example, a nonprofit can fall into a private inurement penalty if the organization awards contracts to businesses that are owned by a specific board member or the family members of that board member without conducting a competitive bidding process with other candidates. To allow for full transparency, all of the spending ventures for end overdose must be disclosed on that 990 form that Stephanie previously mentioned. Next, an unrelated business income tax applies to the organization when they are engaging in activities that are 1. Regularly carried on, 2. Are unrelated to their exempt purpose, and 3. Generate business income. A possible UBIT risk for end overdose could be that they generate advertisement revenue from allowing unrelated sponsors to post advertisements on end overdose's website as well as their social medias. And an example of an unrelated sponsor could be like this.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday.
Of course, that's a little bit comedic, but this is clearly unrelated to end overdose. Therefore, they should not be allowing it to generate income that is not reported. We're going to be transitioning into lobbying and political activities. End overdose must be careful regarding any political activities. Now, they may participate in limited lobbying activities for related public policies, such as expanding naloxone laws or supporting harm reduction legislation. However, if anybody participates in excessive lobbying, this can jeopardize their tax exemption status. And apart from limited lobbying, nonprofits cannot participate in any political campaigns. Conflicts can arise if the organization or board members endorse or oppose candidates, as end overdose must remain completely impartial. Everybody involved with the organization must separate their political views from their representation in that nonprofit or face possible tax status revocation. Gaming, otherwise known as gambling, is defined as a game of chance where participants wage monetary currency in exchange for prizes. Since gaming itself doesn't advance end overdose's mission statement or their vision, it cannot be a significant source of income. Examples of gaming could be raffles, bingos, sweepstakes, casino nights, or any other quote-unquote fundraising activities where the prizes are completely unrelated to the organization. Lastly, 501c3 organizations must provide proper documentation for the donor's tax deductions. If end overdose receives cash donations or corporate gifts, then they must provide the donor with appropriate acknowledgement letters disclosing the details of that donation. Improper documentation risk IRS compliance issues, invalid donor tax deductions, and it also could diminish the public trust in the organization. Board members must know the policies and procedures for donor tax deductions. Lastly, thank you guys so much for listening to our presentation regarding end overdose. We really appreciate your time. Have a great day.